Hello everyone, welcome to this week's episode on Laid Back the Atirozinka podcast. Our topic for this week is career transitions. Our guest for this week is a doctor who combines clinical medicine with MedTech. Hello, Dr. Dubem. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Arinze. How are you?
How's your weekend going?
It's going all right.
Eventful, quiet.
Regular weekend. Nothing serious.
Okay, fair. But before we start, I would like to first of all thank you for honoring the invitation to be here today. Is this your first podcast?
Yeah, my first one. Thanks for having me.
Hopefully you have a good time on the podcast then.
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay, but let's just start. Can you just tell us about your journey in medicine and why did you choose clinical medicine in the first place?
Journey to medicine. I think I wanted to be many things, to be honest.
Are you one of those people they call multipotentialite? That's the name, but that's the word if I'm correct. Multipotentialite or something like that.
I'm not sure what the word is called, but
Okay.
I think I could have been anything, to be honest. And I did attempt to be other things, but I ended up in medicine for I think two main reasons. Number one was that it was the one profession that offered an opportunity to give back to the society.
Yeah.
In a very, very impactful way.
Yeah.
And also, as far as you're a Nigerian, it's also a profession that provides security.
Yeah.
So it was a good the reasons were good enough for me. So it wasn't a hard choice. But before then, I think I'd wanted to be a nuclear physicist.
Oh wow!
And I did. My first jam was actually physics, first and second choice in Unilag, which I got. But by the time everybody found out what I had done, because my parents didn't know, my teachers didn't know, they all went ballistic. They felt it was a waste of intelligence, or whatever they might want to call it.
Yeah.
I felt I would be better in any of the professional courses, but I did love physics a lot. And but that was it really. After a lot of conversations, I reconsidered and I went for medicine.
Interesting. I think we have a similar journey actually. Now that you mentioned it, because I remember when I was in school, secondary school, I remember I never thought about going down the medical path. I won't lie. I was in science, but the thing on my mind was I'm trying to remember people that go in space. I can't remember. No, aeronautic engineering. Sorry, aeronautic engineering. That was the only thing on my mind. And then, but afterwards, I wrote SAT to study economics in US. That's for it. To play football. I got a football scholarship and study economics. So I think we're similar in such a way that I felt like I could do anything. But for some reason, my parents told me, "How can you be smart and you say you want to be a footballer?" That's nonsense. And I think, like you said, most of our parents pushed us towards the medical side because of security. And that's what they were used to during their own time, and I get that.
Yeah, it was. Looking back, I don't think I have any regrets at all. Because naturally, I think even as a child, I did want to. I've always wanted to sort of, help people who are sick and all of that. I had an uncle who's late now, who was a sort of a role model. And he was a professor in medicine, so he did do medicine properly. So he was an inspiration, and I did look up to him. But I always felt like, growing up in Nigeria, you always see people struggling to pay bills and all of that. I always felt sad for them.
Yeah.
I felt like, man, I don't think I want to deal with that, but I still want to help them.
Yeah.
So a part of me felt like, you know what, go and make the money elsewhere, then come and do charity.
Yeah.
Maybe build a hospital and treat people for free there. But yeah, the point is I've always wanted to get involved in the medical side of things. But initially I thought maybe I would get involved as an outsider, but even, eventually, I became a doctor, but at the end, it still all worked out. So there's no regret at all.
Yeah, no, you're right. Because our parents' generation, I think most of them went into civil service. And I don't think civil service provided the financial security and all for their generation. So I think seeing that, and they push a lot of us, like our own generation, to actually go into medicine and other health science professions like engineering and the rest of them, which is okay. But having trained for so long, because it takes a long time to actually become a doctor to get to where you are today. So why do you want to make that transition to MedTech? Why do you feel that the need for you to make this transition?
I think I'm actually someone who don't like things to happen to me. I like to make things happen. If that makes any sense. Being a doctor so far, in the last 12 years, I would say that I've actually, I've definitely impacted on people's lives, while doing my job. Do you know what I mean? Nothing special, but yeah, while doing my job, I'm sure I've touched people in very positive ways, especially while practicing in Nigeria, where you have to go above and beyond to get things done.
Yeah.
And it's been quite fulfilling, but obviously there's only a number of patients I can see in a day, in clinic or in the hospital.
Yeah.
And I sort of feel like I want to do something that would have a wider reach.
Yeah.
And yeah, going into, because while doing your work, you come across issues, problems, things that you believe need solving to sort of improve healthcare within your community or even beyond. And I feel like I would reach a lot more people if I solved XYZ problems. To get what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's just more of it provides me an avenue to impact more people than I'm doing currently. And secondly, also hopefully I can also use that as a doorway to also influence policies on a wider scale.
Yeah.
So that, even though I'm not, if I'm in Anambra and I'm not in Kogi State, I'm doing something that somebody in Kogi State is benefiting from.
Yeah.
Even though I can't, directly
interact with
them.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what it's been, to be fair, more like.
But how did you find this? Because I know there's this, I can't remember who said it, like that you actually need that the most successful people are people who can actually gain a lot of skills and see how they can transform them, use those skills to actually better their own lives in their particular area. So, which I think you're doing, because you're trying to use IT skills to actually make clinical medicine better in such a way that you're reaching people even when you're not physically present with them. So, what has the journey been like for you? Did you find it so hard, like deviating? Did you need to learn how to code, or did you get people? How did you go about it?
So I don't code, and I don't think you need to get these things done. Even though your life would be easier if you're the one writing your own codes and just doing your own thing,
Yeah.
It puts the power more in your hands. But you don't need to. You just need to have the right ideas. You just need to have an eye for the problems and have the right solutions for them.
Yeah.
And be motivated enough to want to build these solutions, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
So I don't code, but I basically see the gaps and I see how they can be plugged, and I am very motivated and inspired to provide these solutions. Obviously, what it's meant is that I've had to bring people with the skills to, provide the technology that I need to sort of solve these problems.
So that means you built a team, at least with people with this different skill set then?
Yeah, of course. So I think what's more important is a clear vision, and then assembling the people that you need to achieve that. And that's essentially how I've gone about it.
Okay. But before we go into the app you built, you just mentioned that you built your own team. So how did you go about building this team to make sure you have the right people, the right mentality, the right drive, skill set? Did you find a mentor to guide you, or how did you go about making sure you recruit the right people for your project?
I think from day one, it's about speaking to people when you have these ideas. Obviously, knowing that you don't have all the skill to execute it and that you'll be needing help.
Yeah.
So I had to speak to people in tech to sort of find who would be the right people to work with.
Yeah.
There's been a bit of trial and error. In all honesty, I've tried a few people. It's been a bit of a journey, and people have been unable to deliver on their promises in terms of what they've sort of said they can do, and then by the time you get into it with them, you find out that they don't have all the skills to deliver what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So I've had to chop and change, if you put it that way, but eventually I just ended up just contracting it out to a firm and just knowing, okay, this is what I need and this is what I need you to do for me. They are not an integral part of my team. They are just contractors, and they're getting paid to do what needs to be done. It's not the most ideal way, but it suffices for now.
Yeah.
And until you get things up and running, then you can then build an internal team. But yeah, and so far it's been working, and they've been able to deliver as expected. So yeah.
Yeah. I found I think I have the same issue you have, assembling a team. So I'm trying to set up an app as well, but you talk to a lot of people. They tell you they can do it. At the end of the day, I had to actually outsource it to an external firm. I don't know if they are going to be able to produce what I want at the end of the day, but let's watch and see. So I know how hard it can be. Assembling the right team for your idea is really hard. But now that you've built the app is up and running, isn't it? Clinical.
Yeah, it was up and running, but we pulled it back.
Okay.
To tweak it and iterate. We had a bit of some sort of beta testing last year. Ran some sort of controlled experiments with it.
Okay, so you just build just a prototype initially first.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. But also because we are looking at we're exploring the idea of virtual clinic, actual physical clinics, but that are still virtual.
Yeah.
That are not manned by doctors, but you can walk into them and then connect to a doctor virtually.
Yeah.
So that was exactly what we sort of played around with, and we did it in a place where obviously people didn't have easy access to doctors, to see if that could close that gap.
Yeah.
And it did. We learned very interesting things. It was in a village. Set up the clinic virtual, had a nurse in there, but no doctor. We just had computers in 2 cubicles. So the patients will walk in, and then the nurse will set them up and connect them to any doctor that's available, because we had quite a good number of doctors registered on the platform, and we could connect to any one of them that is free randomly.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that way we didn't have to employ any of them or put them on standby or anything. So you're doing your thing. If there's a patient, you get a ping, and if you're available, you pick it up and speak to the patient. That's essentially what it was. And at the end, you can write a clinic summary for them, and then the nurse can then execute the plan on their behalf. And it was interesting. We ran it for about 6-7 months, and then we closed it because, again, it was not meant to run for a long time. It was
just to get some feedback.
Yeah, it was for feedback purposes and to learn what we really need to be doing. So we've pulled it back, trying to tweak and trying to make changes that will reflect exactly what is needed out there.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice. But I think we're first of all, can we go back a little bit? Could you tell us what the app Clinico is all about? I know you've mentioned what you've done, how you tweak this, how you built like a prototype, but could you tell the audience like what the Clinico app is going to be used for?
So essentially, with Clinico, we're just trying to build a comprehensive health community where we would connect providers to one another and also connect them to patients, and just a place where it's easy to know who does what, and know sort of easily find what services are available around you based on what you're looking for. And also, so for for patient provider interaction, it allows patients to easily find who they are looking for and access the services. Then for the provider interaction, it just allows the healthcare providers to also know other providers that exist in their community and around them, and what services they can either buy from them or sell to them or outsource. So that sort of interaction.
Oh, that's really, really, really impressive. A lot of people are, I know there are people out there who are not happy in the jobs they are in right now. They are not happy and they are hoping to make a change, but they are scared of one thing or the other. Some struggle with indecision, with transition making, some struggle with imposter syndrome. I don't know if you struggled with this, but it don't sound, because you sound like a multi-potential. I don't think you struggled, but if you did, how is there any tips you have for anybody faced with the same issue right now who's struggling to make that jump to another career or that career transition? Any tip you have for the person?
Well, first of all, I didn't struggle.
Yeah.
I didn't struggle with that because I've never done one thing at any point.
Yeah.
Right from med school.
But like I said, you should add this term to your CV. I think you're multi-potential. Like that's what it's called. It seems you can do so many at the same time. Yeah.
I'll probably check it up in dictionary. I'll be sure what I'm calling myself.
Fair.
Anyway, so I've always done other things. So right from med school. Early in med school, I used to teach. So when everybody was, trying to make sure that they don't fail second MBA exam, I was actually always outside the school, teaching some JAMB and WIRE kids somewhere in GRA in Enugu. So from there, I did that for like 2 years, from my second year to my fourth year, and I got a bit bored. Plus, I think the proprietor of that center moved as well. I think he moved to Lagos. He had other things that I wanted to do, so I decided to do other things, and I started selling clothes. I started shopping for people. It all started with them complimenting my clothes. I like what you wear, and I'm like, I could get it for you. I always try to see opportunity in every interaction, to be honest. So, when people compliment my ties, I'll be like, that was the era that slim ties became a thing. People were beginning to wear fitted clothes and things like that. So, and we always dress corporate to school. So, I like your tie. Oh, yeah, thank you. But I could get it for you if you want it. I like your shoes. I could get it for you if you want it, that sort of thing. Yeah. But it ties you how I started with that particular one. And I remember the first time. So because I grew up in Onitsha, and Onitsha has a bigger market than Enugu, obviously. When my colleagues, classmates went into the Enugu market to look for those ties, they weren't getting anything nice, right? That was as nice as what I had. And they would always come back to be like, I went to Oboet and I couldn't find, anything as good as what you have. I'm like, okay, fine, I could get it for you. So I remember just going to the market and picking up, I went to until with 10,000 naira, and I got 20 ties. I got them for 500 naira each. So there were 20 of them. I came back to school and I sold them for 1,000 each, and I sold them all in one day.
So you made a profit, like double the profit then?
Yeah, I made 100% profit, and it was in one day.
Wow.
Because they were selling those ties for between 800 and 1,000 in Oboete. So I'm like, well, why would I sell any less?
Yeah.
So, and mine were better as well. So, yeah. And I took the whole 20K. I went back, picked 40, and that was sold within a week. I don't think that was up to, because I used to go every Saturday. Yeah. By the next Saturday, I was back in the market. And, I now met other clients who had, a bit of superior taste, and they'll be like, oh, once you come back, I want to be the first to pick before others. Guess what? Yeah. Those kind of clients, I sold to them 1.5. So I sold to them with 200% profit.
Wow.
So for them to pick first, they had to pay me 1.5 for each tie. And then to the others, I'll now sell 1K. The money looked really good. And then I expanded and started, and then allowed people to actually make orders. So they'll place orders. I want tie, I want shoe, I want truck, because medical students were busy, doctors were busy. Yeah. So I started shopping for people essentially. Yeah. And so they were pre-ordered. So I wasn't going to market and just bringing things and selling. Yeah. They were pre-ordered. Even though they didn't pay, I would buy with my money and then put the profit in it and then sell it back to them.
Yeah.
It was good business. I think in a space of 6 months, my business volume grew to 800K from 10,000 naira.
From 10,000?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I got myself a car. That was my final year in med school anyway. So yeah, I sold even bags to the ladies in my class as well. Yeah. I'll get some of those bags for 3.5. They will be screaming if they hear this podcast, but I'll pick the bags up for 3.5 and I was selling them for 8K.
Wow. So that times 2 then.
Yeah, the profit was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, like I mentioned, I think you're multi-potential, and I think you downplay your entrepreneurial skills. You're a proper entrepreneur. That's what you are. But thinking about it now, because I think you have a different journey compared to other people who want to make transitions. So some people want to just make transition within the corporate world, but I think you are the kind of person who tries as much as possible to try your hand at things and see how good you are at them, and then you continue with them. So what do you think? You see, entrepreneurship has taught me a lot. The first thing it teaches you is emotional intelligence and how to handle people. But what do you think entrepreneurship has taught you as a person?
Yeah, I mean, I'll get to that, but I just realized I didn't quite completely answer your question, but that's because I told a bit of the story to create context.
Right, yeah.
Your original question was actually people who are struggling to transition.
Yeah.
And what I would always say, what I did tell myself, so after what I did in school, I actually tried a bigger thing when I was doing house job.
Yeah.
I opened a restaurant and a lounge in Abakaliki, which flopped badly.
Yeah.
But it only flopped because I got some things wrong and I didn't have the time to nurse it back to success, and I just shut it down. But I lost a lot of money. I lost more than 70% of the investment, and this was big money.
Yeah.
But what I realized that period was that I didn't die. It didn't kill me, obviously. It weighed me down, but that was it. I went back I got a job and I started paying my debts. Now, what that for me, what that taught me was that I have a profession that has given me the leverage, all right, to try other things. Yeah. So the certainty and the security that medicine provides already gives you a baseline for you not to be too scared to try other things, because what's the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing is you fall back to being a doctor and you would always at least survive. You'd always be fine. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
And as far as transition is concerned, I've not fully transitioned either. I'm still practicing clinical medicine and I'm now a GP. So I've moved my earnings to a point where I know, okay, whatever be the case in this life, I should be comfortable.
Okay. Yeah.
But this is not completely what I want. So while having done this and keeping it aside, I should now try other things. This is unlike people who have very insecure jobs. As a doctor, you already have a secure job. You don't have to abandon it, but you now have to create time to start investing gradually into other things you have interest in. Yeah. So it's not a matter, you don't have to wake up and dump medicine completely. I mean, if you have the savings to last you 3 years, by all means do that. But there's no point doing that. You can just cut down on the time you put in your practice and create more time for other things. Like for a good 2-3 years, I did not do extra shifts as a doctor. I just did my
because you were building your stuff.
Exactly. So that's the sacrifice. I had to shrink my life to be able to sustain it with what I was earning from my basic salary, right?
Yeah.
And then use the extra time. So when I'm not at work, I'm building clinical. Do you get what I mean? Because you need that time to think, to figure things out, to come up with ideas and all of that.
Yeah.
You can't do it when you're at work.
No. Creativity thrives when you are calm. You are not working. You are not overworked. You are calm.
Exactly. So I needed that time. It was tough, but yeah. I had to let a lot of things go. My lifestyle made it easy as well. I don't club, so I don't blow money, but necessarily. So things like that. And being a doctor, you only wear scrubs, so it's not like I have pressing needs. Keep buying new clothes.
Yeah.
So I was able to cut my life, downsize my expenses and just focus on surviving.
Yeah.
What I needed was to survive and then build what I was building.
Nice. Yeah. But I don't think you've answered the second part of the question, because I'm curious to know, because honestly, you sound like you've had a very, very interesting life. So I'm curious to know what you speak from entrepreneurship as a person. How this has actually helped you as a person, dealing with others, in your career, everything. I'm curious to know what you've gained from it.
I think for me, being entrepreneurial also makes you a problem solver.
Yeah.
You have to come up. You're essentially providing solutions to people's problems in whatever way, whether you're selling a product or you're selling a service, right?
Yeah.
And you have to figure out how to sell these products or services to the people, and how to make sure that it meets their expectations and all of that. So there's a whole lot that's involved in making this successful, to the point of reflecting in your bottom line, making sure that you go home with revenue and profit, right? So it's first, you identify a problem, you create a solution, you make sure the solution is exactly what the people who are having these problems want, that you're not building it for yourself, because what appeals to you may not really appeal to the market you're looking to sell to. So you have to build for your market, not for yourself.
Yeah.
And then you sell it to them. You brand yourself, you manage regulations and other things that might be affecting your business. At the end of the day, it makes you an effective person. It helps you with time management because, at the beginning, you have to be a lot of things for your business at the same time because you probably won't have the money to hire people to do little things for you. And it's even not advisable because you don't need people who are solely working for money at the beginning.
Yeah.
You need people who can key into your vision.
Yeah.
And that first person is you.
Yeah.
So you should be able to take on as much as you can because you're passionate about it.
Yeah.
And then hopefully find a few other persons who will just be as passionate for whatever other reason about it as well. Right?
Yeah.
And then, by the time you get to a point where you are thriving, you can then afford to hire people who don't care about the business but just the money. So long as they do the job and you pay them, everybody's happy. Yeah. But I don't think you need such people at the beginning. So my point is, it teaches you to be a multitasker.
Yeah.
Teaches you to pick up a lot of skills because you have to be a lot of things for yourself.
Yeah.
Teaches you to be effective.
Yeah.
Teaches you to think organically because a lot of problems you'll be solving, you can't find them in any book. Nobody's going to sit you down and teach you. Do you get what I mean? You're going to have to look at problems and figure out and these problems will be unique and peculiar to you and your business. Yeah. And you have to come up with ways to solve them. So you have to be very good at problem solving, logical thinking, rational thinking, reading human behavior, understanding your clientele, figuring out why your business is not doing well or why it's doing well. I'll tell you one thing as an example of what this has taught me. When I tried the restaurant thing in Abakaliki, I realized that I did not even do a proper research before delving into it. Right? Not about the business, but about the environment where you're putting the business in.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. You're about to do a food business, right? And, relaxation sort of business. And you want it to be, first of all, I built it for myself. First mistake. Yeah. Now, I was building it to my own taste. Oh, this is how I'd like it to be. This is the kind of place I'd like to go. I would like it to have this sort of ambience and that and that and that. And yes, I have very high tastes. So that turned out really well, but that did not fit into the that did not fit in for the people that I was building for.
Yeah.
If that made sense.
Yeah.
I literally got a comment one time, which is quite embarrassing, but someone said that when they, that they did not actually come into the place because when they walk past, they are scared of how expensive it might be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And to be honest, now I understand why it failed, but it's all part of the journey anyway. But I lived and studied in Ebonyi, and I can tell you for a fact, if you remember, back in the day, I don't know the time is when you went to Ebonyi, but there was a time Adig Swiss was a popular hotel to go to. There was a time Sunshine, or I can't remember the name, was a popular. You see, but still, you could see that the locals did not like going there because they felt that they did not have the money. It was still those hotels were filled with students when they had like a party or something most of the time.
Yeah.
So it tells you that the locals are you really sure they have the money to go to these places? So for example, when a friend told me ShopRite was going to Abakaliki, I was skeptical if they were going to make their money back, honestly. So I understand in that context.
Yeah. And another interesting fact, you're selling food and you're selling to a community where people don't have a lot of money, but have a lot of time.
Yeah.
The second part, they have a lot of time. What that means is that they are able to make their own food, and they will only eat out for leisure sake. So I now understood why Crunchies, that was on the other side of the road from me, was not big on actual food, and they focused more on moi, meat pie, cakes, shawarma, ice cream. Sometimes when I buy rice from them, the rice is stale, and that shows that rice is not fresh because they're not selling it out as they should. And that just tells you that the typical Abakaliki person would not go to buy rice outside that they can cook in their house.
Yeah.
But they're happy to buy ice cream, and they're happy to buy meat pie and shawarma and maybe more and
for their babes and people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't come to you to, buy the regular thing that they can make at home, and they go to work by 9, so they've got time to make breakfast, and they go home by 2, they've got time to make lunch. They're not pressed for time, and you need people who are pressed for time to actually sell food
to them, and then you can now put your own fixed price on the food.
Exactly, because if people don't have time to cook their own food, then their other option is to buy. But when people have a lot of time to make their own food and it's cheaper for them, and they also don't have a lot of money, they're going to cook for themselves. They're not going to buy from you. So.
True. That's really true. But just because of the sake of time, so let me ask you a final question. I would like you to think about this. If you had the chance now to transform clinical medicine at large, apart from the clinical you've already built, like you have to transform it to such a way that it's now we're in information age, like everything is in suits. Like in Nigeria, you transform it, not just Nigeria, Africa at large. What would be the first thing you focus on to transform clinical medicine today?
I don't know if your question is very clear.
Okay. Can I say it again in a what I'm trying to say? Yeah. So let's say you've already built clinical. You are trying to solve a problem here and there in medicine. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say there's a particular problem you think in medicine now. You are trying as much as possible to make sure you reach everybody all over the world. All right. Make sure everybody gets healthcare, no matter where they are, no matter how old they are. What would be the first thing you would focus on to make sure that is achieved?
I mean, if you're trying to connect people far and wide and across communities and all of that, it's always going to be telemedicine.
Yeah.
Because it's all down to connectivity. You want somebody in Lagos to have access to a doctor in India very easily, and you want somebody in Benin to have access to a doctor in Abuja very easily. Both within and outside. But more than anything, I would want to also make healthcare a lot more accessible at the primary level. So my connectivity will be focused on people providing primary care. So that's what I would focus on, to be honest, because I feel like if primary care is sorted, you have you have a healthier community essentially, because it's also in primary care that you can be able to implement preventive medicine and all of that.
Yeah.
And recently I found myself thinking to myself about what I consider self-governance in healthcare, when it comes to patients. Because I find that even here in the UK, you find that patients have poor self-governance when it comes to their health. A lot of things they bring to the GP should not come to the GP. These are things they should be able to sort within themselves. But a lot of people are very panicky about their health. So they easily come to you, and these things take up spaces that people who actually need the appointment should be taking, because the triaging system does not chase anybody away. If you call today and say, you pulled out a hair from your head and you want to speak to the GP about it, you'll be given an appointment. And then somebody then calls and says, I've actually been losing weight in the last 3 weeks. And you'll be told, can you call tomorrow because we are all booked out today. Meanwhile, I'm going to speak to someone who pulled out their hair, while somebody who's been losing weight for 3 weeks is not able to get appointments. Does that make sense? But that's because the person who pulled out their hair has poor self-governance when it comes to their health. And they are bringing to me something they should be able to sort out themselves. But for them to be able to do that, they need information. So how do we educate people more to improve their capacity to self-govern. Because I know that as a doctor, so I have the privilege, obviously, that I'm a doctor, so I know a lot health-wise. So there are things that happen to me, and I'll just think, a lot of patients come to me with these problems, but I'm never going to speak to anybody about this because it's nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, I woke up with a headache. It's going to go away. Oh, I hit my arm somewhere. It's hurting. It's painful. I know it's going to go down. Take paracetamol. People literally come to you and they've not done the basic things. They've not taken paracetamol for their headache. They've not taken paracetamol for their pain. But they want, so what are you coming to me for? Like, you've not even done a simple thing. So self-governance. So there's a lot of emphasis on primary care in the UK right now, but I think that we need to do a lot more about self-governance. So not just UK, across the world, self-governance would reduce how much people need to speak to healthcare providers, which involves them paying, whether they have insurance or they're paying out of pocket, and to just reduce the number of people that will need an actual intervention from a health professional.
Oh, okay. I didn't think of that. Self-governance, I think you're right. But human beings, we panic. And here in the West, I think compared to Nigeria, self-governance works a little bit in Nigeria compared in the West because cost of healthcare is a little bit high, and here is a little bit free. So people, once they feel anything, they just go to the doctor and complain. But in Nigeria, we first of all go to the pharmacist or chemist and say, give me paracetamol or something. You see what I mean? So I think it's a bit different. The way our behavior towards healthcare in both clients, I think, is a bit different. But anyway, because of time, this is all the time we'll have for this week. And thank you so much, Dr. Dubi, for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I hope you had a good time, though.
Yeah, it was all right. Thanks.
Definitely, we'll do this again.
Sure. Just let me know.
All right. Thank you.